So, hello friends, welcome back to my channel Materialize PSIR, and today we will be solving a PYQ from 2022. And see, that's when we solve this PYQ, you will realize that why I keep telling you people, when you are studying your notes, always study them from comparative analysis. For example, you're studying Rawls' idea of justice, you should also be able to, comprehend how it is different or similar to the idea of Ambedkar's idea of justice. And today, while we're solving this, we are going to look at both the dynamics of Ambedkar and Rawls' idea of justice. So before wasting any more time, let's move on to the question. So as you can see, the question right in front of you is this: Dr. Ambedkar's idea of social justice leads to egalitarian justice as compared to Rawls justice as fairness, which aims at the notion of pure procedural justice. Comment, and it's for 20 marker. So again, now first when we start the question, because it's for 20 marker, we can use the first page or at least first half page for the introduction. So let's begin with a fair introduction. And what can be the introduction? Let's begin like this. This Let's begin with our introduction, and let's our introduction be like from the age of Plato in the West and Manu in the East. The idea of justice has been the idea of justice has been the architectonic principle of a healthy society. All right, a simple and efficient introduction, and from this introduction we can organically start like now in the contemporary times. Both Dr. Ambedkar and Rawls have given their own ideas of justice. Now see, a simple introduction from Plato in the West and Manu in the East, idea of justice, architectonic principle, and then we have organically introduced our authors that are being demanded in the question, that which are Dr. Ambedkar and Rawls. And now we can organically start with the comparative analysis as the question is demanding for us to do. Now, for example, what are the differences between both Ambedkar's idea of justice and Rawls' justice? So the first point that we can think of is with regard to methodology. All right, methodology. So in Rawls, in his theory of justice, in Rawls' theory of justice, we will find that Rawls uses pure procedural method and veil of ignorance, right? Where atomistic individuals are put behind this wheel, where they do not know their caste, class, race, and etc. while deciding the tenets of justice. All right. So in methodology, Rawls uses pure procedure and veil of ignorance. All right, this is the method of Rawls. And now, on the other hand, Now, on the other hand, where we study Ambedkar, Ambedkar, in his idea of social justice, which he describes as Trinity, Trinity of liberty, equality, and fraternity. ठीक है? Trinity of liberty, equality, fraternity. He uses a justice system where Trinity, liberty of equality, and fraternity does not ignore the current realities like caste system in India. That is one argument we have given, one comparative analysis. Moving on to the next thing, what can be another analysis that we can use is solution. Alright. So in solution, Rawls uses the difference principle. Difference principle and chain command. Where the least advantaged gets the most benefits. Right? Example where we can say taxes. You can use put taxes as example of Rawls' idea of difference principle. In Ambedkar uses democracy, constitutionalism, and affirmative actions to uplift the lower caste. Alright, now this is our second analysis. Again, third analysis, we have to open up the question with regard to different aspects on both Rawls and Ambedkar and different aspects of their respective ideas of justice. We have so far covered the methodology, the solution. Now let's cover the nature of their justice. In Rawls' idea of justice is more related to formal equality. Alright? Formal equality. Now, what is formal equality? Formal equality, where he says that the distribution of key resources in society should follow fair procedures. Alright, now give example like one man is equal to one vote. Now that is pure procedural political equality. Right? Now, in contrast to Rawls, Ambedkar's idea of justice is more closely related to substantive equality. Alright, now what's substantive equality? Ambedkar says that the state needs to actively intervene to create equality of opportunity, as not everyone has the same starting point. All right, and what's the example for this? What's the example for this argument is that we can say reservations for SC ST in education. All right, when they get a reservation in education, that means they are educated. Now after being educated, they can effectively use their voting rights voting rights in a far better way, because now they are educated. Why? How they are educated? Because they are getting reservation and state support, and with that education and that state support, they can use their voting rights far much better than they would have without getting any kind of state support or education. Again, this concludes our third analysis. Now let's move on to another. What can be another dimension where we can analyze both Rawls and Ambedkar? Um, I can think of is like with regard to liberty. Let's talk on liberty. Right. Now, in terms of liberty, Rawls says in Rawls' idea of justice, equal liberty for all. Right, and nobody's liberty is sacrificed for another. All right, the notion of liberty is equally distributed for all, and it is not sacrificed for the benefit of another. In Ambedkar's theory of justice, liberty is sacrificed for the for the creation of an egalitarian society. Now, what's the example for this? Very classic example from our own Indian Constitution is that abolishing right to property from fundamental rights. Now, see, now we have given comparative analysis where they both have differences between Ambedkar and Rawls with regard to first methodology, then solution. Then we have given differences in terms of the nature of their idea of justice and the idea of liberty. Now, again, that is one part. All right. Now we have to also show, because since it's a 20 marker, we have to also show that how they are complementing or share same similarities in both their ideas. Now moving on to the next part, this is how we can start. Like however, Rawls have egalitarian element. And what is Rawls' egalitarian element is difference principle, where the least advantaged gets the most benefit. And Ambedkar is also procedural. And how Ambedkar is procedural? Because Ambedkar focuses on rule of law and constitutionalism. Correct? So this is their similarities. Now moving on, we can say that there are some convergences. We have shown the other side. Like Rawls is not always procedural; he is also egalitarian. Why? Because there is difference principle, and Ambedkar is also not always egalitarian. He has also followed the procedural element that we can see in Rawls. And what is the procedural element in Ambedkar's theory of justice is the rule of law and constitutionalism. And now we can move on. Like there are some convergences between the two. All right. The first convergence that we can say is that they both consider distribution of key resources, of key resources like rights, education, wealth as crucial elements of justice. Alright, that is one similarity. Second, they both consider justice justice as key element of a healthy healthy society. Alright. Now thirdly we can say that they both agree that justice involves uplifting the most vulnerable sections of the society. All right, and after that we can conclude. Now here I think the content that I have already written over here will be more than sufficient enough to cover 3.5 pages, or at least 3 pages, if not 3.5. Then we can come to a conclusion, like a balanced conclusion, where we can say like in countries, however, in countries like India, where society is diverse and hierarchical, hierarchical, like caste system. Ambedkar's idea of justice will suit better. However, in homogeneous societies like Nordic countries, Rawls procedural, pure procedural justice will suit better. And this is how we tackle with comparative analysis of two authors, where the question is demanding that how we can comparatively analyze two different authors and with two different notions of justice. All right, we start from a basic introduction, then we arrive at the differences in terms of methodology, in terms of solution, nature, and then their ideas of justice with regard to liberty. And then we come to the part where how they both also share the elements that the other one is majorly known for. Like Rawls is also having egalitarian element and Ambedkar is also having some procedural element. And then we give some convergences, and after those convergences we provide a suitable conclusion where we can justify that why Ambedkar's idea of justice is more practical for a society like India, where we cannot ignore caste behind a veil of ignorance. And contrast to that, in homogeneous societies like Nordic countries, we can use Rawls' idea of pure procedural justice because social hierarchies like caste system does not exist over there. And this is how you dynamically and interlinkingly both the authors answer questions like the one you are seeing right in front of you. And I hope my content has provided you some kind of insight. And please, guys, if you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. It will be a very huge help to me if you follow my channel, and it will keep me motivated to make more content solving these kind of PYQs, which are based on interlinkages between two authors and demanding some comparative and analytical answers in those questions. And thank you very much.